The moment my phone buzzed on Thanksgiving morning, sunlight spilling across the kitchen floor and the smell of roasted vegetables filling the air, I felt my chest tighten in a way I couldn't explain. It was supposed to be a day of gratitude, a day when families came together in warmth and laughter, but instead it became the day my sister finally said she was tired of me asking for money, the day I made a quiet decision that would change everything. I stood there holding the phone, watching dust dance in the light, realizing that sometimes the loudest breaking points arrive without a sound, in the middle of an ordinary, peaceful day. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that heal the heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel Dreams Journal, because stories like this are reminders that hope often arrives when we least expect it. My name is Caleb Rowan, and for years I had been the one in the family who never quite landed on his feet. While my older sister Marissa built a stable life with a steady job, a comfortable home, and carefully planned holidays, I drifted from contract to contract, helping where I could but never earning enough to feel secure. I wasn't lazy, and I wasn't careless, but life had a way of knocking me down just as I started to stand up. A failed small business, medical bills after an accident, and months of searching for work had slowly worn away my pride. By the time Thanksgiving rolled around that year, pride was a luxury I could no longer afford. I had asked Marissa for help again, promising it would be the last time, promising things were about to change, even though I wasn't sure how. Thanksgiving at Marissa's house was always a daytime affair, bright and busy, with sunlight pouring through wide windows and the sound of football murmuring in the background. Family photos lined the walls, frozen moments of success and stability that made me feel like an unfinished chapter. I arrived early to help set the table, wanting to prove that I still had value beyond my empty bank account. The smell of turkey roasting and fresh bread should have felt comforting, but instead it reminded me of everything I couldn't provide for myself. When Marissa finally confronted me, it wasn't with anger or raised voices. It was exhaustion. She told me she couldn't keep being my safety net, that every request made her feel like she was drowning too. Her words were calm, but they landed heavier than shouting ever could. I nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat, because I knew she wasn't wrong. I knew I had leaned on her too much, even if survival had been my only reason. That afternoon, while everyone laughed in the living room and the daylight slowly shifted, I stepped outside onto the porch and made a decision that felt both terrifying and necessary. I canceled the small family dinner I had planned for the following weekend, the one thing I had been holding onto as proof that I still belonged. I told myself I needed space, that I needed to stop asking for help and start finding my own way, even if that meant being alone for a while. The days that followed were some of the hardest of my life. Daytime hours stretched endlessly as I walked the city with resumes in my backpack, the sun rising and setting like a silent witness to my struggle. I took temporary work unloading trucks, cleaning offices, anything that paid a little and asked no questions. At night, I replayed Thanksgiving in my mind, wondering if cutting myself off had been brave or foolish. Yet slowly, something unexpected began to happen. Without the safety net, I pushed myself harder. I reached out to old contacts, applied for positions I once thought were out of reach, and learned to accept rejection without letting it define me. One crisp afternoon, weeks later, as sunlight reflected off office windows, I received an email that made my hands shake. It was a full-time job offer from a community development firm, a role that matched the skills I had nearly forgotten I possessed. The pay wasn't extraordinary, but it was stable, honest work, and for the first time in years, it felt like a real beginning. I wanted to tell Marissa immediately, but pride held me back. Instead, I focused on proving to myself that I could stand on my own. As Thanksgiving approached again the following year, daylight once more grew softer and more golden. I found myself standing outside Marissa's house with a pie I had baked myself. My heart raced, unsure of the reception I would receive. When the door opened and she saw me, surprise turned into something gentler, something hopeful. We didn't need to rehash the past. She saw the change in my posture, the quiet confidence that hadn't been there before. Later, as we sat at the table surrounded by afternoon light and the familiar sounds of family, gratitude felt real again, not forced, not fragile. Just before the ending of this story, I have a special request for you. Please take a moment to comment below and share your thoughts, because your words matter more than you know. That Thanksgiving taught me that boundaries, even painful ones, can become blessings in disguise. My sister didn't stop loving me when she stopped giving me money. She gave me something far more valuable, the push I needed to rediscover my own strength. And as the day ended and sunlight faded into evening, I realized that sometimes canceling one chapter is the only way to begin a better one. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, and engage with this video, because your support helps keep stories of hope and second chances alive.